How about y'all? This is Daniel Nicholson with Nicholson Farms, and welcome back to another video. Today is sale day. We're going to be taking our kid crop from 2022 to the sale barn today. That's going to be all our withers from last year, a couple of doelings that we decided to sell, and also one cull doe that we should have sold a long time ago, to be honest. But before we got started, I wanted to sit down and kind of show you why we waited to this time of the year to try to sell our kid crop. And sorry, my phone's kind of down and everything. I forgot my stand at the farm, but we're about to be out there soon. Before that, I wanted to show you something on the computer. That's something I keep track of pretty consistently throughout the year to make me have the decision to when to sell. So let me flip the camera around. I'm gonna first show you our stock report. We take our goats to a stockyard about 30 miles away, Saluda Livestock Market. I've used other stockyards before. The one that I've used before, they bring better prices, but the commission's also a lot higher. The sale barn that we're taking to today is a $9 per goat commission, or at least that's what it was last year when I took some. But the other sale barn that brings a little higher is 10% of the sale. So you get some goats going in higher value, you can definitely lose some more money very quickly just on that commission, not to mention the fuel that it takes to go to that farther away stockyard. So it's not, I don't have a huge trailer load of goats to justify burning all that fuel. So we're going to be going straight right down the road to our local sale barn. Let me flip the camera around. I'm going to show you their stock report from last week, and I'll show you kind of what I look at whenever I look at that stock report. But this is the stock report that the USDA releases for pretty much all stock barns or stockyards. And as you can see right here, you got your goat section. This stockyard is really known for cows. They sell a decent amount of goats, but nothing crazy. Mainly cows at this stockyard, and a couple pigs and a couple sheep here and there. We don't really have the market for the goats and the sheep in South Carolina like there is farther out west, where they're pretty much shipping that meat to the West Coast. But as you can see right here, you got your weight range and the average weight. This stockyard does not weigh the goats. There's not a stockyard in South Carolina that weighs the goats and sells by pound. So you're just they're kind of guessing their weight. If you can see that, they've had 4 head, 25 pounds, brought 61.25. That is really low. Not happy with that. Kind of makes me nervous. I don't know what their 50-pound goat is that's bringing $80, but I'm hoping mine brings a whole lot more than $80. This was last week, but you also can see they didn't have a lot. The billies were bringing a good bit more. They had a couple wethers that brought a good bit more, but this is kind of just what I look at. This is not going to be a guarantee to what you're going to get paid, but if you go to this Excel spreadsheet that I keep up with every year, I show the highs and the lows throughout the whole year. So last year, this week, well, we're 6 days later, but 3/14/2022 was the highest prices for the goats out of all last year and so far this year. 30-pound kids, I keep up with 30, 40, 50, 60, and 80-pound goats, just seeing what they're bringing. But right in here, as you can see, those 2 weeks, goats are bringing the most amount of money, and that is exactly a year ago today. So unfortunately, we scroll down to this year. I mean, this is when the lows were back in the summertime. They're kind of a little spread out. But if we go on down to where we are now, automatically I'm seeing there's not as many goats being sold, just because all of these weight classes aren't filled out. Like last week, they only had 30-pound kids, 50-pound kids, and some 80-pound kids, or 80-pound goats. And they're only bringing $2 a pound, which is not good for me. But at the end of the day, I cannot hang on to these goats waiting for the market to go back up. It's time to sell them now. Any kind of livestock you're raising, there's going to be highs and lows in the markets. I'm not sure what's causing this, but I mean, it could be just as simple as one of the buyers that was there last year is not coming back this year. I don't know the deal. I haven't been to that sale barn since I sold cull goats almost a year ago now. So It's hard to tell what's driving that, but like I said, at the end of the day, I cannot hang on to these goats any longer. We got kids about to hit the ground. I need the grass this summer, and it's just part of it. If we're gonna continue to raise goats, we gotta, just go with the stock market, hang on the years that it's bad, and hopefully on the years that it's good, we capitalize. But going forward, I'd love to be able to set up something where I'm marketing our kids a whole lot better. Just having 15 kids to sell at a time is just not, it's not great for trying to market them yourself if you're going into the meat part of it. We're not raising register stock or breeding stock. We're raising commercial goats. And so we're playing the meat market. And, hopefully one day we might have enough where we can call one of these buyers and they're coming straight to the farm, giving us a base price for our kids, and we're loading them straight on the truck. I'd love to see that, but realistically, that's just not the case at the moment. So I wanted to show you that just so you could kind of understand why I'm taking the goats right now, even though the market's low. Number one, last year that was the highest part of the market. Number two, we've got kids coming. We've got to get rid of these goats so we can lower our parasite load, have more grass for our mamas and all that stuff, and have more grass for other animals on the farm. But I'm about to hop in the truck. We're going to run to the farm. We're going to get started. I'm going to go ahead and feed all the goats that we're going to be taking to the sale, just so they look full whenever they go into that sale ring. I don't know if it'll help them any at all, but it's one more step I can take to try to make an extra buck. We're going to do that. One of my good friends, Scott, and you've seen him in several videos, especially the butchering videos. He's going to be showing up, and he's going to ride to the sale barn with me. He's actually the owner of what we call the lease pasture. So he wanted to ride with me. Today is Monday. The sale is every Monday. I decided to take the day off, and Scott had the day off as well. So we're just going to go up there, watch some goats sell, eat a good lunch, and maybe watch some cows and pigs sell. So I hope you enjoy the video. Hang around. It's probably going to be a little bit of a long one, just because it's going to be a long day and there's several different things that I want to capture. So hope you enjoy. So we got everybody fed. That's a nice chilly morning. I think it's like 29 degrees right now. Got to get a little frost on the ground, but getting everybody's bellies full, getting them up, getting them moving, ready to go. We're going to be taking 14 of them to the sale today. We sorted off 15 the other day, but I think if you might have saw our last video, we took one of them up to the lease pasture where Scott and his family are going to be butchering one. So getting them fed, we'll let them eat. We got about 2 hours. It's 8 o'clock now. We're going to try to leave here about 10:15. Goats start at 11 o'clock. So we're going to try to hit the road about 10:15. I'm going to do a little bit of work on the trailer and do my chores. I'm not going to record all that because, like I said, I think this is going to turn into a longer video. But I will show you what I'm doing to the trailer. I think it's good knowledge to know, I guess, before we hit the road. So first of all, we're just going to check all our tires, make sure all our tires have good pressure. I've got a spare tire underneath in the front of this trailer. On the other side, there's a door. Got a spare tire in there. Going to make sure it's pumped up. We're going to put the air compressor hose in there, tire tool. I'm going to take this jack right here. So if something does happen, we can fix it on the road. I have had a tire blow out on the way back from a sale. I've never had it loaded down. But the one thing I want to get done before we load 14 goats on this small horse trailer is I want to fill in this gap. This is an older horse trailer. The bottom's rusted out on the side. So I'm just going to put a 1x6 down the side of that, because one of my biggest fear of hauling animals is somebody stepping through the floor. You want to make sure you have good boards on your floor, number one, but I'd hate for somebody to get their leg stuck there going down the highway. It could just be a very bad situation. Heard some nightmare stories about that kind of thing, so we're just going to go ahead and patch that up. Other than that, trailer's hooked up, ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and knock this out and also do the majority of my chores this morning, because I plan on being at the sale barn the majority of the day. Well, that might not be the prettiest thing ever, but at least our gap's not there anymore. Can't see through the bottom of the trailer. Not too worried about a goat or a cow or anything getting their hoof stuck down in between them boards. So problem solved. So I was out here feeding the rabbits and all the goats came into the barn following me. So I went ahead and shut the gate behind them. They're all called up. I'm not going to load them on the trailer just quite yet. I'm going to wait for Scott to get here. As soon as he gets here, we'll back the trailer up and jump them on there. That horse trailer is a little tight for 14 goats. And so I don't want to put them on there any longer than they have to be. But I figured I'd talk to you a little bit before we go to the sale barn, just because I don't know how much filming or talking I'm going to be able to do at the sale barn. Every sale barn is different, whether they let you film or not. I've never asked the sale barn if I can. So I might try to catch, you know, just the goat selling, maybe unloading and stuff like that. But I'm probably not going to be talking to the camera too much. And I'm still kind of shy around the camera in front of a bunch of people I don't know. But I wanted to go ahead and explain some things, what's going to happen whenever we drop these goats off. Our sale barn and most sale barns probably have two different unloading spots for, one's going to be for cows and then the other one's going to be for sheep, goats, pigs, and things like that. At least this sale barn does, and the majority of the sale barns I've been to. But we're going to unload them. We're going to crowd them into a room, and what we're going to do is put a sticker on their back that's going to have a number that's tied to my name. So there's no mix up when it's time to write checks and stuff. That number that goat's assigned to, or any animal that's in the barn, is assigned to a person. But we're also going to look at their ear tag, and we're going to get that scaby number. I believe it's a federal law, or maybe not a federal law, but you know, countrywide, that they have to have a scaby number. Your farm has to have a scaby number to sell sheep or goats. So that number is already in my goats' ear tags. I get little white cheap ear tags from the Department of Agriculture with my farm number on it for my steer goats or withers. I just use those. They're free when you sign up. I got 80 of them. So I'm just going to use those until those run out. On our doelings this year, we did buy some tags from Premier One, where I was able to put my farm ID number for my scaby tag. I could put the year that the kid was born, and I've explained the tagging way I'd tag things before, but we're going to be doing that in a couple weeks with the babies, so we'll explain that again. But they've got their tag in. Everybody's got it in. If you don't have your tags in, some sale barns will put them in there for you. Some of them will charge you a little extra, but that's one thing that you have to sell sheep or goats. So if you're looking to get into the goat business, or you're looking to sell some goats, you need to make sure you do that, and you can just contact the Department of Agriculture to get that number. But that's what's going to happen first. Then they're going to put them in a pen, and whenever the sale starts, sometimes they'll sell them individually at our sale barn. Sometimes they'll group a couple that's about the same exact size and sell them that way. It all depends on how many people's at the sale, how many goats are at the sale, and stuff like that. Like I said earlier, this sale barn is primarily cattle, so they try to get through the goats pretty quickly so they can get on to the cattle, because they'll be selling cattle all day long. But waiting on Scott. As soon as he pulls up, we're going to back the trailer up to the gate, get these goats loaded up on the trailer, and head down the road. Hey. Hey. Don't do that. See a lot of trailers. $15, $20, $120, $20, $20, $20, $20, $20, $35, 35, follow 35, follow 35, follow 35, follow 35, follow 35, 135, 130. Well, we just got back from the stockyard. I'm kind of tucked behind the trailer here, trying to avoid the wind, so we can go ahead and talk about how the stockyard went for us today. And it did not quite do quite as well as I was hoping for, but it also did about what I was expecting, if that makes any sense. The prices in our area are down about half of what they were last year. I don't know what's causing that. All the buyers that have been buying at that stockyard was there, or they had somebody they're buying for them. So I don't know what's causing the price to be as low as it is this year, but it is what it is. It's just a gamble you take whenever you sell your animals at a stockyard versus trying to sell on private treaty through Craigslist or anything like that. In our case, we steer or weather all our billy kids so we can keep everything in one herd. And from what I saw today, all the billy kids and steer goats were probably bringing about the same price. But whenever we do that, we kind of take ourselves out of the private treaty market, because for the most part, nobody's looking for a male goat that's been castrated to have it on their farm, unless they're going to grow it out to butcher themselves or something like that. And we do that so we can keep everything in one herd. And also, as I saw in at the livestock market today, like I said, they kind of bring the same price. And we also do that because we're not selling breeding stock. We have commercial does. We might be running 100% Kiko billies, but we're not to the point yet that we're even want to try to sell breeding stock. We're not at the point right now where we want to try to register any stock. We could register stuff as 50% now, but I try to do that to keep everything in one herd and all that stuff. And honestly, I don't feel comfortable selling somebody what I have at the moment for breeding stock. We're still trying to finesse our breeding groups to meet that market, and that goes along with our doelings. Those 4 doelings that we took today, we could have probably sold them on Craigslist or something like that. But once again, it goes back to the fact that I don't feel comfortable with them even being in my herd because of parasite issues, split teats or whatnot. So I definitely don't want to send those to somebody else's farm as breeding stock, and then my name kind of get a bad name of a bad goat. Whenever I get to that point, I'd really like to have nice goats and be able to start developing a name for myself and all going along with that. So sum up what happened at the stockyard. Our doelings brought the least amount. They went from anywhere from 70 to $100, which is really, really low in my mind. But they're also, like I said, does that we were culling out of the herd because of parasite issues. The one bigger doeling that had split teeth, she did bring over $100. I think she brought about 115, which was kind of what I was expecting all of them to go for. I was expecting the bigger one to go a little bit more. Our cull doe brought it right at about $160, which is really good for her. I was not expecting for her to go for that much. Honestly, I wouldn't pay $20 for her, and she brought $160. So that was great. All our weather goats or steer goats, they kind of range from the $150 to $125 mark. It's kind of a big range, but from what I saw today, the buyers are definitely wanting those about 60-pound steer goats or billies, and that's kind of where I was hoping I'd have all those goats at this year. But it is what it is. I can't do nothing about it now. They're sold, they're gone. I've got a check in the truck I need to go put in the bank. Happy to have it. I wish it was a little bit more, but that's okay. At the end of the day, I did keep, I think, a 10 or 11, maybe 12 doelings from last year. So I have to acknowledge that I've got to pay myself that way too. I'm retaining breeding stock, and that is value added to our program. That's not a cull goat price to me. Those doelings sold for $100 today. If I'm keeping it in my herd, that means I see something that I like in it. That's something I want to continue to try to develop for our herd. So those animals are worth a little bit more for me. So I have to take that into account whenever I'm looking at how much did I get paid this year. I did receive 10 to 12, whatever it is, I can't remember off the top of my head, extra doelings that have a market value. So with that being said, that's how the stockyard went today. Not the best, but also not the worst either. They could have never made it to the stockyard this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. I really appreciate you hanging out with us. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment, and we'll see y'all on the next one.